Called out, my new enemy, my new rival. Hey guys, and welcome to the video where me and Beagle are continuing our discussion about our opinions on the game using a Steam checkbox style review as a guide. Now, obviously we talk a lot more than that. This is part 2 because, well, I don't know if you know, but editing takes an absolute age. I think it's already taken me 3 hours so far, so I do put a lot of time and effort into these videos. So if you can help me out with a like or subscribe, that'd be much appreciated. If you don't like the category we're talking about, I've got timestamps, you just skip to the next one. And as always, let me know if you agree, disagree, or think anything else about our opinions. So let's get into it. Called out, my new enemy, my new rival.
Oh shit! How do you feel about cursing? Is every swear allowed on your recordings?
Well, I'm not monetized yet, so far, yes.
Oh, fuck yeah! Okay.
Whereas I know you are, and you might get strikes and warnings for it. So I guess.
Nah, I'm all right.
All right.
The trick apparently is don't swear for the first 15 seconds of a video, and you're pretty good.
Okay, well, that's what editing's for. So happy days.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, difficulty. Now, interesting. Okay, I do want to hear your opinion first because you've had the press release again. You jammy. You've been recording on the betas. You've obviously been waiting for this game for 3 years, whereas I'm a bit fresher to it. And actually, for me, the difference is that I've been learning the game whilst recording. So I did play the betas, but honestly, not much. A handful of games because it wasn't obviously out for that long, and I just wasn't as hyped up. I think towards the end of the open beta is actually when I started to be like, you know what, actually this is something here. So yeah. I've basically had to learn the game on the fly. Obviously watched YouTube channels, yours as well, of course, it's a bit of sort of planning, but nothing prepares you for the steep learning curve, I'd say. And the commentating at the same time. Because I know an option is to obviously record and then commentate later, but I've been doing it on the fly, which I think I prefer doing for the time being. What about you?
Yeah. Talking about like the streamer side of it or just the difficulty side of the game in general?
Both. Why not?
Well, let's start with the streamer side real quick then. I've been doing both post commentary and commentary on the fly for games for ages, and it's definitely easier to focus on playing, and then talk because you're dedicating part of your brain to commentary. So I always play things worse.
Part of your built-in CPU.
That's right. Yeah, I'm not multi-cored. I'm not multi-threaded. I can only do one thing at a time. In either case, but it works in either way. But it is easier for me. To be play the game well. I'll still do it if I live commentate, but I'll play the game worse. But as for the game itself, just for everyone playing it and difficulty in that sense, I agree with you that it has a learning curve. I was talking to LDE, invited me to talk with him, and LDE, my friend Yeet Machine, and nice guy, this came up, and I was surprised to be. They were like, no, you can learn it, or maybe it wasn't them. Maybe it was my YouTube commenters have been like, no, this game's pretty easy to learn. Like my friends, one guy said my friends get into it and they say how easy it is to learn. They never played anything like it. I was like, what, this game? Like, I played all sorts of games. I played tons of RTS since I was a kid. I'm 34, and when I first got into this, I found it really overwhelming and hard to play the multiplayer. And this, I've really had to push through and get good with it, because it was worth it. But I think it depends how you get into it. Like certain play styles, like if you try to come play infantry heavy or SOF heavy straight away, you're gonna get fucking mulched and you'll go this game is so hard. But maybe if you just want to play tank heavy, it might be easier. There's ways to get into this game, but if you don't know them, it's quite a steep learning curve and it's very punishing and overwhelming.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to disagree with you. Shocking, I know.
Ooh, here we go.
Tanks. I think they're hard to master as well. I mean, obviously, the fundamentals are you drive a tank, it shoots, and that's it. I mean, a tank's a tank. You can take more hits, whatever. However, you try to do a cheap armored rush, And you know what? It takes 5 seconds for you to get obliterated by 2 helicopters. So
Oh yeah.
this is where I disagree. I think even knowing how to use your tanks well, obviously it's very easy. It is very easy to just make them go forward. But you know, you learn things that they're much slower through forest, for example, which obviously makes sense. But it's things that you don't realize how much of an impact a forest or cover infantry in forest can actually make. And yeah, they can absolutely decimate your game plan because of your complete lack of experience or being a new guy to the game, which is obviously fairly understandable. But yeah, I honestly think the only easy thing to play is artillery, because you're in the back lines, you don't have to worry too much about direct contact, and it's less micro intensive, let's be real. Being a supportive player is quite easy. All you got to do is get supply up. But even then, another part of steep learning curve is knowing that counter batteries exist, and the fact that as soon as you fire your artillery, someone's queued up MLRS or cruise missile to hit that position. So if you don't move them, they're gone. So honestly,
they've made this beautiful fire mission menu with 3 different lengths of fire mission, and you should only use the short one.
That is actually what I learned yesterday, because I thought medium I'd be able to get away with. Nope. So yeah, I think all of us are still learning. I'm definitely still learning.
Yeah, same.
And
I'd agree with you actually. I'd agree with you that like the whole game is hard to get into. Some things are easier than others, but I do agree with you, and I think that's one of the best things we can do. Not to sound like we're angels or anything, but as like YouTuber streamer people, is actually help people get into the game.
Hashtag
because
influencers.
holy shit, yeah, hashtag influencer. But like holy shit, like we can do a lot, I think, to help people get into the game, because it's very easy to get into this game, have a bad experience, and never play it again. But maybe you could have got into it. Like I see a lot of people be like, "Oh, I'm too old for this game." It's like, no, you're not. You can learn it, but you got to like approach it the right way.
Well, I suppose, you know what, leading on to that, perfect time to give a shout out to my tactics series, which with me, Lima, the Lima Academy, in which I will be actually trying to help you guys out, because obviously, like I said, I'm still learning things, and you know what, it's nice when people share things that they learn, and Beagle obviously does a lot of really good stuff. Like, I comment on his videos saying that, well, like the last one about the crayon deck that you have, I still learn a good thing or two, and the main thing that I picked up from that video, we should probably link it, edit.
Bang.
Yeah, bang. Is what you were talking about, helicopters and tanks, which are actually both super micro intensive, because they're some of your most valuable units, and what you got to do is micro both, which is super difficult. So most people won't have the capacity to micro tanks and helicopters, and definitely not air support, as in bombers, strike fighters on top of that. So basically avoid, don't completely stop doing it, but avoid bringing them out at the same time, doing a big heli or big tank rush at the same time, because you won't have the capacity.
I think that's for one, I want to go to Lima Academy. That sounds interesting. For two, I think actually you brought up a good point to make then about the difficulty. Is I would say, at least early on, the difficulty of this game, the strategy game, is not just the strategy of the battles against your opponents, it's like being strategic about yourself and against yourself. It's one of those games, I said this about Tarkov 2, where you're kind of fighting yourself and your bad habits.
Yeah.
And you're trying to make yourself disciplined mentally, because your intuitive habits, example in Tarkov, you get spooked, you run, you sidestep, you can't sit still, you can't get an ambush off.
Absolutely.
You run out, you panic, and you die. This game is like the RTS version of that, where if you give in to your anxieties and fears in this game, you will play worse. And you have to kind of learn to work around your limitations. Like one quick example I'll do, because we won't sit in this forever, of course, is like you just said, you can't be everywhere at once. And I think it's very easy, if you don't think in that way, to instead play this game and be like, I'm just not good. I need to keep practicing and get good so I can do everything at once. But the way you want to go of this game actually is to realize, no, I'm human. And so then, like we were just saying, learn that habit of, okay, I won't try to play 2 different high micro units at once. I'll build a whole deck that is strategically around 90% of my deck I don't have to worry about, 10% I micro. And you've got to be strategic in how you approach yourself about this game. You know what I mean? So there's very deceptive amounts of difficulty here to master and become even probably like above average at this game. I'd say it's hard.
100%. And this is, again, a thing that I talked about in a previous video. Link here.
Boom.
The thing is, so obviously, as a serving officer in the British Armed Forces, the biggest difference here to obviously real life is the fact that there's commanders of multiple levels. So there's someone to do the macro, there's someone to do the middle command, basically 2-up intent, the 2-up command, the 1-up command, and obviously the commander of the individual sections. So you have like 3, or actually, again, in reality, a lot more people that can sit back, have an overview. You've got someone controlling the macro, the overall plan, you've got people controlling small groups, and obviously that just takes off so much workload from the game. Whereas in the game, you're doing all 3. You're the general, you're the officer, and you're the infantry commander, the corporal in the sections. So it's a lot to do.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And you're handling logistics, because that's an important part of this.
Yeah, and logistics, and again, of course.
Again, I think it's easy to like look at this game and again go, "Oh, I can't even keep my supplies and get my units repaired. I'm so bad." But no, like that's part of the challenge of this game is in all the stuff's going on in a 45-minute multiplayer match, prioritizing your time. Exactly. You can't be everywhere at once. And I've been learning this week. For instance, I won't do something funny like see a tow jeep and go micro against a tank for 2 minutes to try and bully it, because I go, I need to spend those 2 minutes macroing right now. I need to do my supplies.
Exactly.
So you do have to be everything at once.
Yeah, exactly. Logistics is a good point. That's a complete separate regiment in the army. It's an entire specialization in the Air Force and the Navy. Another thing is obviously you're an Air Force liaison officer. You're also a ballistic missile coordinator. So, you're literally, and you're the JTAC calling in the close air support. So, Christ, you have got a lot of hats to wear whilst you're trying to battle it out. So anyway, I think we've gone on long enough about difficulty.
Yes.
My voice is starting to go. Nah, just kidding. What are we going to say then?
Significant brain usage, at least. It's not easy to learn unless you're born for this. It is hard to master.
Definitely.
Significant brain usage at the least. What would you say?
Yeah, I would agree with that, because there are aspects of easy to learn, hard to master for sure. But you know what? Even when I'd say it's going to be one of these games that even if you understand absolutely everything, you know what every single bomb does, you know the range of every single unit, you are still going to be microing the fuck out of the game, which is, you know, sapping a lot of your brain and capacity. So yeah, significant brain usage. But hey, you know what? A shout out to fellow YouTubers. When you're doing commentary, on top of that, it is fucking difficult. So maybe I'll start recording and maybe commentating later. I'll try that out.
Plus side, all of that makes it a really fucking awesome competitive PvP game, though, I think, because once 100%. You've mastered yourself and the game mechanics, it does feel like an incredibly strategic game against each other, I think. So that's cool.
Definitely.
And I'll throw in as well, just briefly, because I know we spent a long time on this tab, but just briefly, also the single player and the multiplayer are very different. I haven't played much of the single player, but what I did play in the betas, it's balanced in a way that's very fucking punishing, and it's a different beast. And if just a shout out to people, if you come into this game, or warning I should say, if you come into this game, don't expect the SP to actually be like the easy tutorial for multiplayer. I think the multiplayer is easier. Low elo multiplayer players are probably going to be easier to learn the game on than single player, as crazy as that sounds. The official campaign, anyway, in my opinion.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's an interesting take. I rate that. Yeah. No, fair enough. All right. Yeah. Enough time spent on difficulty. What a long discussion. Yes. Sorry, guys, for getting sidetracked so much. But we hope you find it interesting, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Well, it's funny that you mentioned the campaign, the single player campaign, because the next tab is story.
I haven't played it.
I was just about to say the same thing.
I've just been spamming the multiplayer.
Yeah, same. Well, that's the thing. You record 5 videos to make one good one, don't you? Give or take.
That's how you be a YouTuber. That's right.
That's the YouTuber life. Yeah, people disconnect, and it's can be quite frustrating and painful sometimes. So, guys, your subs and likes make it worthwhile. Thank you.
Every sub you send keeps Lima playing Broken Arrow.
Well, I got to make money after I leave the armed forces somehow.
That's right. There you go. You
Yeah.
gotta keep them off the streets. We can make this work. So obviously we can't talk about the story much.
Not
We haven't played
much,
the campaign.
but I do love the background.
Yeah,
I do love
talk
the
about that
setting.
then. Go on.
Well, sure. I mean, for those who don't know, I'm sure most people watching this already or all over it and have played more story than us. So obviously, it's set in basically the war starts in the Baltics, so around Lithuania, Kaliningrad, which is a part of Russia, not actually connected to Russia, and I've been there. Really cool place. Yeah, Latvia, Lithuania. What else did I say? Parts of Belarus, and I'm not sure if it actually touches Poland, but maybe it does. Somebody who knows this game better can tell us if it does. I think so, but not sure. And obviously a bit of escalation, bit of the classic America and Russia antagonizing each other, which leads to full-scale tactical nuclear war. And I think that's a pretty good summary, to be honest, without spoiling it too much, of course, of what happens. And I mean, personally, I love it. And unfortunately, the saddest part is that is very possible, and we do already see it. Without talking too much politics, we're not a political channel, but we see it happening right now, which is kind of scary. Yeah.
Yes, and it's been interesting for this game's development and some of the reception to it, and people talking about it. It's hard to separate.
It's hard to avoid talking about. Sure.
Yeah, but I won't drag us into it either. But I mean, I agree to just as fiction, as fantasy, as a video game. Yeah, I mean, the setting's very interesting to me. I love that it's modern compared to games like war games that are a bit older.
Yeah.
And I can be cheeky here, and I can say with our multiplayer experience, I think the story of the multiplayer matches is often very good. I think I don't know if I get away with this, but I think the pacing of the multiplayer matches is actually very good. I think the way it builds from opening skirmishes with recon and stuff into higher engagement, into like big percentages at the end, makes each match quite a memorable experience a lot of the time. Like, yeah, you get the dropouts and the cheaters, and that kind of ruins it a lot. And some matches are blowouts. But the matches that are kind of work as intended, where you're not having all that awful stuff happen, I'd say are pretty good, memorable experiences. And I think it's cool. It's well paced.
You know what? I actually didn't think about the story of multiplayer matches. I'd never thought about that. So yeah, nice fresh opinion. Now that you mention it, I completely see that. It is what you'd expect. You'd expect a bit of frontline reconnaissance setup, gather some information, and then engage the battle gradually. Because again, in reality, it's very rare that you will have a full army unit ready to face the threat. The problem is obviously that you need to mobilize reserves, bring up, your formations are going to be spread out, obviously, to not make them easy bombing targets. So massing your units to take objectives is going to take time. And you know what? Yeah, you bang on. The fact that the game allows you to do that, again, adds a level of authenticity. And sorry, well, I lost my train of thought. Adds a level of authenticity, and yeah, it does make it memorable. You're right. You're absolutely spot on.
I think it's because you bring up the recon stuff and how you go recon first. I think, yeah, like that level of this kind of blends into the gameplay from before, I guess. Or if we talk about gameplay, yeah, like I can't remember. I don't know if we did yet. But the point being, kind of related to this, that yeah, like the way this game makes logistics and travel times and multi-role and all these things actually matter is very relevant to what it's doing. It's not just living off the aesthetic of tactical military. It's actually legitimately very strategic and tactical, at least in my opinion. And that's a very big breath of fresh air for an RTS game these days for me. And yeah, it does make the matches very interesting stories to play through in that sense, because it's not just smashing each other with whatever OP units are that. Like, you are doing all these interesting different roles. Great pacing.
Or just 100 tanks versus 100 tanks. I mean, that's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool to see once, but then it gets boring. And actually, you know what? Even if you love an American start with basically 100 helicopters, then guess what? Black Hawk Down. that's the intro of Black Hawk Down, isn't it? So again, yeah, there is story even in multiplayer, and I'm sure the comments can tell us what the actual campaign is like, because yeah, I guess we've been too busy to touch it. So you know what? I'm actually going to go lovely for the story.
I don't know if I could get away with it, because I think if this was an actual Steam review, and I think I'm doing bullshit. I'm doing spin when I say that for story. I think I can get away with it, but
Just
I know
about.
if I wrote that in an actual review, people would be like, "Yeah, but what about we're talking about the SP campaign?"
Yeah,
sure. But if we
sure.
can get away with not saying that, yeah, I'll go with lovely. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, in that case, take our opinions with a pinch of salt on this one.
We're just
Nice.
simps for the game.
Right, this video is getting long. Damn, son. I honestly, you remember I wrote to you half an hour, but I'm actually enjoying this discussion so much, and we're dragging on to the hour mark. So, Christ, good chat, Mr. Beagle. Good chat.
It's how it goes. Always expect everything you think in YouTubing and streaming will take twice as long as you think it will.
Well, to be honest, yeah, I was like, if we have time, why don't we go for a game straight afterwards? But I'm not gonna have the time, I'm afraid. But next time.
But we should play soon. Yeah, we should play soon.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, definitely. So there it is. There's the middle of our continuation of review. Like I said, these are not short videos because we just keep getting carried away. But nonetheless, I still hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and hope you stick around for part 3. Take care. Bye-bye.